Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Number one in the rankings, number one in your hearts.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. I hung up my T. Higgins poster,
Yes, you did.
and luckily, I did not measure whatsoever. I just know, all right, well, this is about where I hung it last time. Let me go like a little bit lower. You actually see the jersey and not just like his foot. Like I'm very happy with how this turned out. You get to see the nice signature right over here. You get to
Hmm.
see at least look. He has a football. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
We don't know
yeah.
what's going on up here, but we need to leave a little bit to mystery. To your imagination.
When is the Keenan Allen one going up before he gets
Oh,
cut slash traded?
while I did not hang that one up yet, I did, however, hang up Calvin
Oh,
Ridley. Oh, and Mel Brooks. Anyone who's a Mel Brooks fan, the silent movie. If you don't know, go watch it. Oh, look, you got a little bit. You almost get his head. You got his neckline here now. I'm gonna
there
leave
you
the
go.
camera like that. Can't change it. Can't change it. All right, but it is March 1st. It's March 1st. It is March. We are somehow already chugging along in the NFL offseason calendar, and in 2 weeks we get free agency. So the wonderful, smart Addison Hayes over here says we should talk about free agents because there's going to be free agency soon. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Do that. So we figure we usually split it up by positions, and especially this year with running backs, there's enough very good running backs who are free agents to do a full show on them anyway. So here
Mhm.
we are. We're doing the free agent running back show, and let's face it, it's Addison and me. So we're going to take any chance to talk about Saquon Barkley we can, and we're going to do it first. So here
Absolutely.
we go. All right, but also let's just preface this: we are choosing Saquon in all of these. I
Exactly.
haven't looked yet, but I feel like we're just taking Saquon. All
Well,
right,
the
let's go.
first one's Saquon for Justin Jefferson. So Saquon. All right.
Yeah,
Is that the end of
easy.
the show?
Yeah,
All
done.
right.
Roll the credits. 12-team Superflex League. Saquon Barkley and Calvin Ridley. Oh, come on. For Javonte Williams and Jamison Williams. The double J Williams. That's dangerous. That is a
J.A.
stack.
Williams. Oh,
All right. Again, Barkley and Ridley for Williams and Williams. For Javonte Williams and Jamison Williams. Barkley coming in at 594. Calvin Ridley 162. Love it. Yes. Javonte Williams. Oh, sorry. Total of 756. Javonte 350. Jamison Williams 295. Total of 644. I am 1000% with the analyzer on this one. I
mhm.
get getting younger on the other side. And especially if you're not a Barkley believer like we are, I feel like you'd probably be very happy moving into these two players, especially if you're still not ready to compete yet. Because I do really think, even if Javonte does come back right away, which they said he's probably going to miss some games this season, we're going to see that J.K. Dobbins slow roll, hoping. I don't want anyone to get hurt, so I hope he stays out for as long as he needs to, instead of trying to rush back, which chances are the Broncos are drafting or signing a running back anyway because they need a body. But I hope he doesn't rush himself back because he's afraid of losing his job or something. So I really do. I do get it, getting young here, that transition, but I need something more solid than this. Like, I want something better than an off injured. No, that sounds like often injured. No, a running back coming off of injury.
Mm.
And Jamison Williams, who, again, has all the potential in the world. We haven't seen him near full strength, full health yet. It was nice to see him play at the end of the season. Love that his first catch was a touchdown. It's a shame he had like 2 catches the rest of the entire season. But like, I still believe that he can absolutely be much more than what he was. So I get it, but not at the cost of Saquon. And clearly, I believe that Ridley's going to come back and be good. Probably not top 5 wide receiver good, but still could be very good.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this one. This one's so easily Saquon Barkley. Just, I mean, I don't really know if there's anything more that I need to add on top of what you just said, but yeah, I think there's going to be a narrative here. One thing that I found throughout, finding the trades for this show was I feel like we are undervaluing the running backs entering free agency this year because of there's a lot of the unknown of where do they go? Do they get a landing spot as good as where they were? If it's a different landing spot, how much is it going to hurt them? Are they going to have to share with somebody else? All that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of unknown, and I think that is depressing a lot of these guys' values.
Do you think it has to do
Saquon,
with how good the draft class is?
uh, the thing about the draft class is it's got a lot of like 1B players, I think. Obviously Bijan, and then Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is a 1B in the receiving category. So that means that whoever gets paired with him is just going to be a 2-down workhorse that might not be great for fantasy. But then a lot of the other guys are, 1B, like the grinder kind of guys. Charbonnet has upside as a 3-down back. I think Sean Tucker has upside as a 3-down back, but do they get that role? I don't really know. But I would rather have Saquon over everybody not named Bijan in this class. I'd rather have Jacobs over everybody not named Bijan in this class. Gibbs, I'd probably take Gibbs over Bijan. Gibbs over Jacobs. Same thing. We're there.
Are we just talking everyone being running backs or everyone not quarterbacks?
Just running backs. Yeah, just within
just
the
checking. Okay.
Yeah. But so I think that there is a depressed value around this running back class for the multitude of reasons of the unknown of the 2023 draft class, the overall, I think, depression of running backs being valued by NFL teams recently as well too. A lot of that goes into it, but I mean, this is still Saquon Barkley. I feel like no matter where he goes, if it's not New York, wherever it is, they're going to pay him, and they're going to pay him to be Saquon Barkley. Like, he's not all of a sudden just going to share the backfield with somebody else who's also going to get 150, 200 touches. Like, Barkley's going to get 250, 300 touches wherever he goes. He's going to be fantastic. He could be on a team where they have a better opportunity to score, and it's not just he's scoring just based on his almost sheer talent. Like, he just might luck into somewhere where he's getting 10, 12, 15 touchdowns because the offense is that good. It's like a Christian McCaffrey situation going to the Niners. That could happen for Saquon. So I'm taking Saquon Barkley here. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, what you were just saying really ties into how I feel about this next trade, which is Saquon Barkley for Terry McLaurin in the 111, which almost sounds blasphemous. Like, we're talking 594 from Saquon, and the total on the other side is 424. This is two lines of thinking. Saquon is 26, hence he is old, besides the fact that it's a 27-year-old wide receiver in Terry McLaurin on the Manders, who, as of now, has Sam Howell, who they don't even seem to want to be their starter, even though I think they should give him a chance. I liked him. Like, he was my QB
one.
Yeah, because once every quarterback fell that far, aside from Pickett, who I was just never a fan of, I'm like, I might as well just pick the guy I like and have him be my QB1. And so, yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, Sam Howell is my QB1. So here's not my line of thinking, but here's the line of thinking that I could only assume went down. I'm getting rid of a 26, soon to be 27-year-old running back that's going to be in a new offense on his second contract. So that's just dead dynasty value in general. Let me get Terry McLaurin, who, okay, fine. His dynasty value isn't great, but he does produce well, regardless almost of who was throwing. Half a season of that first half a season with Taylor Heineke was the only time he never scored well. He didn't score well. It was like not the year when he started, like the year before, the second half of that season. Otherwise, McLaurin is just very, very good. He's a very good wide receiver. I wish he got to somewhere that would actually do something for him.
Yeah.
Besides the point. And here's the thing, the 111, you listed a lot of names that have the chance to be 3-down backs. Zach Charbonnet, Tucker. There's a lot of people that love A-Chain. There is a dude with the name Tank. I don't care that Tank Bigsby probably is not going to be a first-round dynasty pick. I will forever bring him up. There is also a wide receiver in this draft who goes by Tank.
Tank, yeah.
So I'm going to have so many of both of them on my teams.
And
apparently, there is a running back next year who goes by Rocket? Or is that this year? Is that...
No, that's next year. It's Raheem Sanders out of Arkansas, I think, is the Rocket, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Two tanks and a rocket's happening. So I really have to believe like this is a line of thinking where it's just old running back, new team, second contract. I can probably get something that's going to give me Saquon numbers at 111 because of these good guys that are going to be down there. And that's not super wrong thinking, because the allure of this draft class, a lot of it was that chunk of running backs, that depth of players, especially with the multiple quarterbacks in superflex leagues that will be going that early in drafts and most likely rookie drafts, to push that talent back. But also the point is to not have to give up someone like Saquon to go get that pick. And that's the trap I think we see a lot in these good draft class. These classes where we're like, yes, I won the league, I got the 112, and I can still get a good player. Like, yeah, yes, you probably can, but assuming you're going to trade for the 112, you shouldn't give up someone with the potential of what you're praying you get out of the 112.
Again, these are trades that are being done. It's March now, but these were all done over the past couple of weeks in February. And I don't really think there's anything that's really changing all these values. I didn't really cherry pick, like Saquon Barkley's value in the trade finder is really, really low right now. Like some other trades in here. One is Saquon and Ayuk for Javonte and Dotson. Like that's kind of the same trade as it was earlier, just Jahan and Ayuk instead of Ridley and Jameson. There's another one in here that is Saquon and Mike Evans for Swift and Pierce. I'll take Saquon on that one.
Oh yeah.
Tua, Saquon, and Amari for Carr, Etienne, and Rashad White.
I don't even get that.
That's Tua and Saquon for sure. And then the last one down here was DK and the 109 for Saquon and Chubb.
Oh, like if you were just going to say Saquon and another player of that Dotson level, I'm like, all right, finally we can talk. Nope.
All trades done in February within the last month. So
that's rough. It's non-point scoring season, and yeah, we have 26, 27-year-old running backs, and I get it. You want to get them off your team, but I can't hurt anyone for not having patience because I don't have any. But like that's not the trades you really want to do, even though you want to get these guys off your team. But let's move on. Let's talk about Josh Jacobs, another guy who will probably be undervalued everywhere because he has been undervalued everywhere until he wasn't. Like, remember that time we hated on Josh Jacobs for so long because his price was just ridiculous, and he was just Frank Gore. He was a bottom end RB1 because he played. He was always there. He was decent. So he kept, and then all of a sudden his points went up and his value went down, and people still started hating on him. And we're just like, oh,
yeah,
okay. And then he puts up ridiculous stats this past season, and we think just because he's going to a new team, he shouldn't be worth all of that still. I mean, here we go. 12-team Superflex. Josh Jacobs is worth 390. Like, I'm not saying he should be worth Saquon Barkley, but it's a big difference. But man, I love this trade. Josh Jacobs for DK Metcalf and Cordarrelle Patterson. Now, of course, Cordarrelle means absolutely nothing here, but DK Metcalf is 516. Caution, Team B is giving up the highest value asset and the most pieces in the deal. Oh god, this is DK all day for me.
Yep.
Even taking out my bias, I think this is DK all day.
Well, you have your wide receiver over running back bias is going to play in here too.
They're the same age, which usually leans towards choosing the wide receiver. Production-wise, Jacobs most likely will score more for the next 2 years at least than DK Metcalf does, but also in 2 years, Josh Jacobs will be 27 and be worth next to nothing. DK Metcalf will be 27 and will probably start his value decline then, maybe, if he's not, doing real DK Metcalf things. I think beyond fantasy point production, DK has the advantage here. ADP, DK 37.25, Josh Jacobs 46.25 overall rank. DK 30, Josh Jacobs 53. To me, and everything sort of leans DK here again, except Josh Jacobs will score more fantasy points.
Yeah. Yep. I'm just gonna take DK Metcalf over Jacobs. The next trade actually a little bit too is heavily in favor of the opposite side. I shouldn't say heavily, but is in favor of the opposite side of Josh Jacobs as well too, which is really interesting because like I did kind of preface by saying that a lot of these free agent running backs are a little overvalued, but I feel like that's also depending on the person who has them in your league right now, right? Like every league is its own market. So if the person who has Saquon or Josh Jacobs values Saquon or Josh Jacobs like nothing's really changing, then it's probably best not to really go buy them. But if they're players that are worried about where these guys are going to end up with the unknowns, are they going to be in a bad situation, those are the times to go out and target these guys and actually trade for them. So it just kind of depends on who has Saquon, who has Josh Jacobs, and how they feel about them specifically, because every league's going to be different. But if you're able to, if you have Josh Jacobs, you're able to get DK Metcalf, then I would just go and do that. Now, let me ask you, because there was another Saquon DK Metcalf trade where it was DK and like a third for just Saquon. Would you take Saquon over DK? Man.
I'm not frozen. I'm thinking.
Yep. Got to think about it.
Like if you're, that's going to be a little team dependent on that one. If it's right now, like we're talking, it's March 1st. I think I stick with the young wide receiver if it's this close to me, or let's put it this way. Right now, if that trade was offered to me, I would just reject it because I don't know what to do. Chances are, I don't think any value is going to change between now and the start of the season for either of these players. Like, short of Saquon going, if Saquon doesn't get signed quickly and then goes to a bad team for not a lot of money, which shows that there just wasn't interest in him, I think that's the only thing that hurts his value, his dynasty value, and his NFL value at that point. But like, I think that's all that there really is. And I feel like if the Seahawks draft a quarterback, we'll get excited thinking it's an upgrade over Geno, or if they keep Geno, well, we saw he did well with Geno already, so it's probably just going to get a little better. So like, I don't think there's any narrative that they really lose points that is probable, because I really don't see that happening with Saquon, by the way. Like, that's just literally like worst case scenario, short of him just literally not getting signed. So I would probably just reject it and wait until closer to the season. And if, like I said, if values don't change and that trade is still there, I would probably take Saquon if my team is competing, because when it comes down to it, you want that stud running back. So if August or September rolls around and someone throws me that trade again, assuming I have DK, I would probably take Saquon, though it will be tough because I love both of those players.
Yeah, that one was a lot harder. And ADP wise, from February, Saquon is 15 overall and Metcalf is 18 overall.
Yeah,
one quarterback. So
yeah, I felt like we're still doing the super flex one, so I'd been worried if that was up there already. Okay, but let's do this second Josh Jacobs trade. It is Josh Jacobs and the 202 for Nick Chubb, Gabe Davis, and Evan Engram. Wow, that's interesting. All right, Josh Jacobs 390, the 202 is 136 for a total of 526. Nick Chubb 363, Gabe Davis 157, Evan Engram 86 for a total of 607. I think I take the Nick Chubb side.
It's really close. Like, I really wish Gabe Davis wasn't Gabe Davis.
I see, but here's the thing. At this price, how far apart for you are Jacobs and Chubb?
I would personally rather have Chubb than Jacobs. I know that you're losing a little bit because of age, but there's also just the stability of who Nick Chubb is, the situation that he's in, the potential for that offense if Deshaun Watson, improves after a whole offseason with the Browns, learning the playbook, all that kind of stuff. Without Kareem Hunt, it's just kind of Chubb's backfield. We know what that is. I think there's a lot of safety and stability in knowing Nick Chubb's situation and production in that situation. Whereas Jacobs, there is that, that unknown in the back of my head that's like, what if he just doesn't do Josh Jacobs things anymore? What if he goes somewhere that has a JD McKissick, what Naeem Hines was, that drops his
You
receiving
mean
volume
what
back
Nick
down to
Chubb
where
has
he
next
was.
to him and Kareem Hunt? Yeah, got it.
Essentially, yeah, like that was one of the Jacobs's big things is that he rushed for 1,600 yards and scored 50 times, but he also had more
Finally.
receiving volume upside last year, and if that drops back down to where it was, for the larger majority of his career, that's going to hurt his fantasy production overall and drop him down to where Nick Chubb is or even below Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
So I mean they're very close, but I think I do prefer Chubb in the safety. But I would take the 202 over Gabe Davis and Evan Ingram.
Yeah, this has Gabe Davis himself worth more than the 202, and I don't
agree
with that.
that.
I recently got, and it's really funny. I love trading for Gabe Davis because you'll get half the league saying, "Why would you do that? Why would you pay so much?" The other half going, "Man, you got to steal."
Mm-hmm.
I sent I think it was the 208 and a 24 second of a decent team. So even though you can't project, you just a mid 24 second for Gabe Davis straight.
I'd rather have the picks.
Yeah, most people would, but I was bored. It was fun. There hasn't been a trade in that league in a while, so I just did it. But that's honestly I feel like that was right price for Gabe Davis, so I was absolutely fine doing it anyway. So if you're telling me I can get Gabe Davis and most likely an every week starter with Ingram at the tight end spot. Now I don't expect Ingram to do what he did at the end of last season, especially if Ridley does come back and he is good. But that offense is I'm there. I'm there for it. I believe in that Jaguars offense. So I do think Ingram will be there because I believe I think he's a free agent. So if he's smart, he stays.
Right.
And if he stays, I think he'll do well. So I'll take the Chubb side rather easily in this, even though I don't hate on the other side, because especially people trading away Gabe Davis and Evan Ingram in a package probably don't need to start them.
Right, exactly. That's why I wish that Gabe Davis wasn't Gabe Davis, because I'm looking at ADP. If it was anybody else in his range, the veteran right ahead of him is Keenan Allen. So
so as long as Keenan doesn't get cut, then yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also Rashad Bateman's in that tier, Juju's in that tier, Jacoby Myers, Tyler Lockett. These are all guys basically plus or minus 4 wide receiver spots around Gabe Davis. I'd prefer all of those guys over him, and if they were in there as opposed to Davis, that side would look so much better.
So if we just put matching 202s, which means you sort of, because it value wise that sort of works. Mm-hmm. Josh Jacobs for Nick Chubb and Evan Ingram, and if you're taking Chubb, you're taking Chubb and Ingram. So you're taking that side is what you're telling me, and you agree with me, which means I'm right.
There it is.
Yep, there it is. Moving on before you actually realize what just happened. Tony Pollard. This is always the interesting one, especially what horrible crap timing to break your leg. Rumors that he's going to get tagged, which is absolutely a Cowboys thing to do, but he's still a free agent, unrestricted free agent. So, I mean, let's see what this, I'm very curious. 12-team Superflex, Tony Pollard and Elijah Moore for Jerry Jeudy. Pollard 261, Elijah Moore 117 for a total of 378. Jerry Jeudy in at 306. I mean, this is that classic trade, the 2-for-1. You overpay a little bit to get the highest valued player, and I would do this for Jerry Jeudy. I will then be sad when the Jets get a new quarterback and Elijah Moore is good again.
Yeah.
But I would do this for Jeudy, mostly because, again, I think I'm on so many shows. I don't know about what I talk about where, but I'm super take locked on what's the big deal about Tony Pollard. He did really, really well last season. I'm not taking that away, but I see him, and then I wish I had a better, more recent example of this, but I see Lamar Miller. He's so good given the backfield. He's so good given the backfield. No, there's a reason he probably doesn't have the backfield.
That's true.
But again, Tony Pollard did very well, but he is also a 25-year-old running back. Tony Pollard was lower drafted. No one necessarily cared about him, except he was a great handcuff because in case Zeke ever got hurt. So I probably undervalue Pollard, and I love Jerry Jeudy. So, I mean, this, even it looks like this is pure bias for me, but it is just how I feel on it. I would do this for Jeudy.
I'm on the opposite side on this one. I would send Judy away for Pollard and more. Now, I'm also with you. I do really, really love Jerry Judy, although apparently by me not taking this trade, I guess I don't love him as much. So there is
Just
that.
saying. Just
Um,
saying.
I do love buying Judy. I do think, Russell Wilson takes a step forward. That offense moves forward. Jerry Judy is a product of that offense moving forward. Everything looks much better for them year 2 and Russell Wilson on the Broncos. But I would take the upside shot on Tony Pollard either remaining in Dallas or going to a team that's going to utilize him like they did in Dallas, essentially. Like if he drives a few hundred miles south, signs with the Texans, and is the 1B with Damian Pierce. I feel like that's a kind of similar situation to how it was with him and Zeke. And then, there's a couple other spots I think where he could go and kind of do that kind of same thing. That gives me hope that I'm going to bet on the talent of Tony Pollard and just his ability with the ball in his hand to make a play and drive his fantasy production. And then the upside shot on what Elijah, like I still really believe in Elijah Moore. I love Elijah Moore. If Corey Davis
I'm with
gets
you.
cut, they bring in Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, somebody like that, kind of resets how the quarterback for the Jets view about their wide receivers as a whole. Obviously, Garrett Wilson, nobody's taking the crown away from Garrett Wilson. He's the alpha for sure. But if Elijah Moore could just get targets on the snaps and routes that he's running, that would be so much nicer if he's getting 5, 6, 7, 8 targets every now and then a game. It would look a lot nicer, and that I think would complement with my upside shot on Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just taking the other side, but I have two very irrelevant things to say, but I'm going to say them anyway. The two quarterbacks that it seems like the Jets want, which would make sense for the team, are Carr and Rodgers. Both of those quarterbacks have been able to produce fantasy very good big dudes and little dudes. Like, unfortunately with Carr, it wasn't a wide receiver. It was Darren Waller at tight end, but he's practically a big wide receiver anyway. And Hunter Renfrow. And then Rodgers was always able to get Devontae Adams. And if they, when Randall Cobb was back there, even when he was 106, Cobb still had good numbers. So, like, I feel like if they do get one of these vet quarterbacks, it will be very good for both of the wide receivers. Also, since now there's just complete anarchy when it comes to player numbers on their jerseys, it would be very nice if Tony Pollard went to the Texans and whatever number Bernard Pollard wore like 15 years ago, he went and chose that number. So those like 8 people who own Texans Bernard Pollard jerseys can just wear them again.
I see. Yeah.
Always, I'm thinking of the fans. That's what I'm doing.
That is what you're thinking of. Yep.
I don't know why the hell that popped in my head, but it did, and I had to get it out.
I love it.
All right, yes. Last on the list, we have David Montgomery, which I feel like he should
skipped the second Pollard trade.
Oh, we talked about Pollard so much, I didn't realize we didn't even do it. Tony, never mind. Forget I said that. Come on. You don't listen to me anyway. It's fine. Tony Pollard, the 206, and Wan'Dale Robinson for Russell Wilson. Tony Pollard, 621, the 206, 121. Wan'Dale Robinson, 110 for a total of 493. Russell Wilson, 296. Everything we said about Tony Pollard, which we both think he will do well, regardless of where he goes. He'll do well. The 206 is nice, and I believe in Wan'Dale. Like, I think he will be very good, especially if they do bring in someone who can be more of an X wide receiver on the other side, because Wan'Dale isn't a number one. It would be great, but he shouldn't be getting 12 targets a game like he was for like the quarter and a half.
He should be getting 12 targets.
ACL. So I like that side, but if you're telling me I can get a quarterback in a super flex league that can be as good as Russell Wilson should be, I send these pieces all day for it.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. This one, when you look at like the analyzer, it is a little, I think, compiling value because
I think we might need to start using the package adjustment button again.
Oh yeah. Does that like default to off? I think
Yes.
I noticed that it does. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah, you have to click it on.
So if the package adjustment kind of came on, then it probably looks a lot nicer. It's probably closer to 300 to maybe 425, something like that.
Yeah, it probably drops a good like 15-20% because of the 3-for-1. Yeah.
Right. In which case, yeah, I mean, on this one, I am taking Russell Wilson for this, and I don't know if there's going to be people who are like, yeah, I totally agree, I'm taking the quarterback here, or it's like, nah, Russ is cooked, he's trash. Give me Tony Pollard and whatever the 206 and Wandale end up being. But I'm just going to take Russ because I think the opportunity cost on missing out on whatever, like, I don't think Tony Pollard is ever going to be an RB1 value wise. And he might not even ever be top 15. So I'm not really missing much, I think, value wise on that, nor Wandale, nor whatever the 2.06 is. Like, there's just nothing there, I think, that's like super concrete that makes me want to draw away from a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who has the upside and capability of doing what he's done for the large majority of his career, minus one season in Denver with a horrible head coach who didn't survive year one. So if Russell Wilson returns to being a QB 10 in fantasy, I think that's going to be a lot better for my team overall than, whatever the other three pieces actually end up being. And if Russell Wilson is cooked, is trash, I don't feel like I gave up enough substance to, say, oh man, like I really wish that I didn't make that move for the quarterback. So.
Yeah, like you will still have a starting quarterback on your roster because even if he's not great, he's going to be starting for at least this year and next year anyway. But also, I'm curious to see what will happen when undoubtedly practice starts and Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson and starts saying like insanely hyped up things about how practice is going, how the offense is, how he's finally getting to cook and all of this crap. If that will get the bubbling back and for people's excitement for Russell Wilson, or if they are just so spurned after last year that they just won't get into it again. Like getting Russell Wilson at such low value might just be a nice move to flip him in 3 months.
Yeah, that could be the case too. You remember when like Tom Brady looked like trash his first year in Tampa Bay, and then ended up year 2 was like the MVP, threw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. I mean, the weapons he had to throw to were obviously a lot better than what Russ has, but it happens sometimes. And I'm with Sean Payton coming in, I think is going to look a lot different in Denver, I think. So.
Yeah, like it's funny because it's a perfect comparison because those are two quarterbacks who never had to learn new offenses for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Yes, they've had new offensive coordinators, but I can bet you anything, the offensive coordinators that came in did not tell Tom Brady or Russell Wilson what they're doing.
Tom, what offense are you running? Is this it? Okay, just checking.
So, yeah, I'm down. All right, now, David Montgomery. I mean, I didn't even talk about this before. The next guy we're talking about is David Montgomery. Aren't you all surprised by that? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. 12-team Superflex, David Montgomery, Tyler Boyd, and Adam Thielen. So, old guys. 4, Cortland Sutton and Chase Claypool. David Montgomery, 107. Tyler Boyd, 61. Adam Thielen, 41. Total of 209. Cortland Sutton, 153. Chase Claypool, 56.7. Total of 210. Oh, man, like completely even. Mm-hmm. So here's my thing. I don't want... Okay. So here's the thing.
No, you were going to say it. Go ahead, say it. There's 5 players in this deal. Out of those 5, how many do you want?
2? See, here's the thing. I don't want Claypool. I don't really want Thielen or Boyd at any sort of value whatsoever. But then we're talking David Montgomery for Cortland Sutton. But at least I would feel better at some point in the season plugging in Tyler Boyd and Adam Thielen than I would plugging in Chase Claypool if I had to. Mm-hmm. So I think I would take David Montgomery in this deal, this David Montgomery side, because if he stays in Chicago, perfect. If he goes somewhere else, chances are he'll be a 1A or like the strongest 1B in the league. So I still think he'll do well for fantasy. I still want Cortland Sutton to be a thing, but what is it? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We're talking year 6. This is the last year for his breakout. Like Devontae Parker and Corey Davis gave us that year 6 breakout, and I'm here for it for Cortland Sutton.
I'm generally wide receiver over running back, but when you get far enough down the rankings, there's like an inflection point where I'm just going to take the upside shot on the running back because you need those running backs after especially after a certain point of fading them for so long, that
Yeah.
guys like in the David Montgomery range, you're going to need some of them to end up panning out if you are going to compete without some of the elite guys. I'm just going to take David Montgomery as my RB 2, 3,
I
4
was about to say, I was going to say
over.
3. My team, it would probably be a 2, just because that's how I play. But like, just to like put it in perspective, I think no matter where David Montgomery goes, there was a better chance of him being a top 15 to 20 running back than Cortland Sutton has at being a top 30 wide receiver.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. This next one is very, very interesting. 12 team, 1 quarterback. So that matters because there's a pick involved. David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert for the 112. So if Montgomery goes somewhere, you do have 2 starting running backs. Maybe.
But do you want them?
I never, that was not part of this. All I said was you have maybe 2 starting running backs.
Maybe.
112 in a, honestly, yes. I think I take these 2 over the 112 because in a 1 quarterback, we're talking what?
Well, I can tell you, we have rookie ADP. 112 is Devon Achane.
So to me, you're getting 2 chances that are kind of similar to what you're getting at that draft pick. They're just older.
If this ADP is correct, there's also Kayshon Boutte is also he's 201. Sean Tucker is 202.
Yeah.
And my guy Josh Downs is 204. I would take all of those guys over Devon Achane at the 112, and I would take all of those guys over Montgomery and Herbert because I think that their upside is just so much higher. Like, if you swing and miss on the rookie, and Monty and Herbert both hit, then you missed out on the RB22 and the RB23. Is that what you missed out on for the potential upside shot of having a top 20 wide receiver or a top 20 running back, all of whom are 21 years old?
I will say you're right, and I will say if I'm on the clock with the pick and someone sends me this, I probably reject it because I'm there and I have that fever. Okay, so the next one is David, and our last one is David Montgomery for a 23 third.
Okay, do you want context for why I included this in here? This happened not once, not twice.
Okay, LeBron.
3 times. This trade, actually, the other 2 trades were actually worse. The other 2 trades were Montgomery for a 4th, and then there's one where it was Montgomery for a 3rd, and then another couple ones where it was like Montgomery and a couple other players like Boyd's and Thielen's for a 25 second and some 3rds. So like that. It was weird that it happened multiple times in the month of February that you can be able to buy David Montgomery for a 3rd or cheaper.
The answer is David Montgomery because even though I don't like gaining running backs in the offseason, if I'm going to, it's because I got something like this. Like David Montgomery should be worth more than a 3rd.
As soon as we know his landing spot, his price is automatically at least a 2nd.
But it's like, regardless of what his 1-for-1 price is, especially once free agency hits, he gets his new landing spot, adding Montgomery or adding a 3rd to a package to get a deal done, I think Montgomery will help a lot more in that case than a random 3rd would.
That too. Yeah. So I don't know how often this is going to happen, but apparently it happened multiple times in the month of February.
I might just go send a 3rd for Montgomery over in all my leagues that I'm competing in just to see how it goes, or even not competing because again, it's cheap. Who cares?
Yeah, just see what happens. If you guys are able to go out and you see this done and you're able to go get a deal done like this, let us know in the comments because I'm really interested to see if we're able to inspire anybody out there to go get Monty for a 3rd.
Yes. And after it gets done in your group chat or reply all to the email that comes in, this one's for you, Addison and Russ.
There it is. If you actually do that, let me know. I might give you like a DLF premium subscription or something like that. That'd be fun.
Man, We can't go higher than that to end the show, so we're just going to end it. This has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes, @AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.